Well, we're all good to go. About to embark on a 160-mile trip in a Series Land Rover. I've checked all the levels and looking forward to it.
Land Rovers were everywhere in the New Zealand of my youth. Family friends had a Series III station wagon, and I was sitting in the side-facing seats in the rear at the age of about 9 or 10 or something like that, and went over a bump and I smacked my head on the inside of the roof because I bounced right up off the seat, so that was certainly quite memorable. And then my father was in the army, so when I was still at primary school he was allowed to bring a Land Rover home in those carefree days of driving military vehicles wherever you wanted. And he let me sit in the back while he drove around the block. It was dark, and the smell of the hot oil and metal of the Land Rover, which is something that I still quite like today. It's quite a distinctive, evocative thing. My former role was an army officer, and I was a logistician, and in that field it's very important to have a good attention to detail. So when I was working on this, I got very determined to make it look really nice and do a really good job on it, and track down all the bits that would make it look that way. For example, on the rear body there's 3 rivets along the side that weren't painted at the factory, so when I replaced those I painted the body first and then I put those rivets in afterwards, so it looks very much as it did back in August 1974 when it first hit the road. I thought about owning Land Rovers for many years, but for some reason there was always some other thing that had to be done that came first or whatever. But finally about 5 years ago I got my first Land Rover, and then soon after that I bought this one because it looked like a nice clean original specimen that hadn't been messed with, and although it wasn't perfect, it needed a lot of work, but it was a solid basis for a restoration project. In terms of owning a classic car, one of the really good things about them is they're very simple. So the level of engineering, it's basically 1940s engineering, it's very accessible. So if you like engineering but you're not a professional engineer, you can get the workshop manual and you can learn how to do things, and then you can ask other enthusiasts. In the Land Rover world, people are very helpful, and parts are still very inexpensive. They have gone up in price in the last few years, but comparatively it's an accessible type of vehicle to own and maintain yourself. Well, because I've reluctantly decided to sell it, I'm taking it to Anglia car auctions in Kings Lynn, which is a very well-known both nationally and internationally car auction house. It will be very sad to see it go, and I will miss it, because 4 years already, and we've come to the end of the road. Well, I guess that's it. We've come all the way to Kings Lynn, and it's time for the handover.
Michael, really good to see you. So pleased you made it. 160 something miles, fantastic.
All the way from Kent.
Good journey?
Yeah, fantastic journey. Went really well, and I'm glad to be here.
Brilliant. Well, let's get you a cup of tea, because I'm sure you need one.
Sounds good.
And then let's go and have a look around this absolute beauty.
All right.